Gina Kehr's passion for collegiate swimming led her from All-American status to one of the top professional triathletes in the country. Her experience ranges from the 2000 Olympic trials to having one of the most top 10 overall finishes by a female at the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. Join me, Charles Wollin, for an inside perspective on women's triathlon, the 17th sport at USF, and the coach who will lead this inaugural program. Gina, welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to the Hilltop. How are you settling in?
Pretty well. I'm enjoying this fabulous weather, that's for sure. I was a little nervous thinking that I'd come to a little fog, but I am very happy.
Well, it's awesome that you're here and pioneering a new program for USF. Mm-hmm. Let's begin, though, with your childhood and finding your passion for sports. And you started playing youth soccer, but it wasn't for you, and then this unique kind of swimming story that happened for you and racing your dad in your pool.
Yeah, I would say, I was a pretty active kid, but didn't really get into too many sports. And my parents put me in soccer, I think, as a way to just keep me busy. I got tired of watching my brother. And I enjoyed it and, played club. And then went on to high school and decided that I would play just because it was something to do. But in the summertime, we would always swim with my parents and my friends. And we always had this family relay or this family race that we would do. So my dad would give us a half of the pool, a head start, and he would, totally beat us even though we had a half a pool. And then one summer we did it, and I ended up beating him. And it was the summer going into high school, and he was like, "Hey, wait a second, come back here." And I'm all, "What?" And he's like, "We got to do this mono-y-mono." So we did it, and he ended up beating me, but I was pretty close. And he really encouraged me. He's like, "You should think about swimming in high school." And I was like, "What? I only swim with my friends." But once I got into high school and I had enjoyed playing soccer and being more active, I went out for the swim team and then, really just found my passion.
And your junior and senior year, you kind of were a self-marketeer to be able to get the chance to swim collegiately.
Yeah.
Discuss, that and the challenges of going through that and then landing up at SF State.
Yeah. So I think I'm the real story of hard work and just finding your passion late and being a late bloomer, right? So my junior year, so I had started as a freshman, and I was as beginner as it gets. Hair in a ponytail, I had this dolphin V-cut bathing suit, and you see me now, I was not a very big girl. And I just went on the swim team and just swam. I used to swim underwater and play around in practice. But as I got better, I realized, oh my gosh, I got to swim varsity my freshman year on the varsity relay as just doing freestyle, right? And so because of that, all of a sudden I found what hard work really does. And by the time I was a junior, I decided to join club, and I had been swimming year-round, but I didn't realize I was late to the party of figuring out going to college. And academics was hard for me. I was definitely not a super student, and I didn't even really think I would go to college. But when I started looking at times, I realized, oh my gosh, if I just invest a little more time, I might be able to do it. So after joining a club, I started dropping times, and I basically had to go out and try to sell myself to coaches. And I'm not going to lie, it was definitely well, you're okay, but I don't know. And San Francisco State was the only coach that really believed in me. And I dropped so much time my senior year that he totally scooped me up. And I think it was from then that I just knew hard work got you everywhere.
And then you kind of took off at SF State, and then this swimming bug stayed with you after college. You still wanted to go on and swim potentially professionally.
Yeah, I swam 2 years at San Francisco State. I had a great career there. Then I transferred down to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo and had a great career there. I was able to go to NC2As all 4 years. And I think because I got into it late, that when my season was over, my 4 years of collegiate swimming was over, I really didn't have anywhere to go. I think that the professional swim world hadn't really taken off yet, and I was going to have to move, and not understanding the depth of what it takes to be, I knew what hard work was, and I knew I wanted to be really good at something, but not knowing what I know now, I just kind of was like, well, I guess my swim career is over. So it was really kind of sad when I got done swimming at Cal Poly and just kind of floundered for like a year or so, figuring out what to do athletically.
And then let's transition to chat about how you found being a triathlete and combining swimming, running, cycling all at one time.
Yeah.
Was it just like this?
No, I think anyone who gets in triathlon kind of does. You don't really know what you're getting into. You just kind of get into it, and then the next thing you're into it pretty deep, right? So what happened was, because I was done swimming, I didn't really do much. I actually had people coming to me asking me to be on relays for triathlon. And I was like, yeah, great, I'll do the swim. I love the swim, right? And it was great being the swimmer because you were done first and you were just got to hang out the rest of the time. But after about a year or so of doing that, someone came to me and they just said, hey, I think you'd be a really good triathlete. And I was like, really? I'm like, well, I played soccer and I knew I could run decently, but I had never ridden a bike, and I never had ran at a level that I think you can run. But no, they were like, no, you should come to this club and you should try it out. And so, I was in my mid-20s. So I walked on to a triathlon club, and basically from there learned how to bike and run. And then having developed that work ethic in swimming, of course, I start seeing improvement. I was placing very well. I was like, oh my gosh. And then it just kind of progressed into my times were that of the pro women. So after about 2 years of racing age group, it just kind of got to the point where, if I'm going to do this at the amount of hours I was training, I might as well take it to the next level and try to race pro.
You have referred to a lot in your life as climbing a ladder, and triathlon's climbing a ladder, moving up times, etc. Is racing pro really the pinnacle of this? And how do you feel about your career climbing the ladder to the top?
Racing pro is the pinnacle of triathlon for sure. I was very fortunate when I got into the sport. It was not in its infancy. It was kind of in a second tier of its infancy. But what was exciting is that it was going to be an Olympic sport for the first time in 2000. And I started in 95, but in 98 was when I turned pro. So when I saw that had that possibility, my ladder climbing ability was like, well, I absolutely have to go to the first Olympic trials. Why wouldn't you try to do that? So from there, it was just, okay, what's it going to take? What do I need to do? And you just, like anything else, become very driven. You almost become like a robot. Your days are just, you get up, you work out in the morning, you go to work, you work out in the afternoon, you go to work, you work out in the evening. And it was just day after day of doing that. It was a fun ladder for sure.
Got to save time to eat and personal time, I'm sure as well. Mentally though, how do you prepare yourself spiritually, mindfully, to be in position to compete in this sport? Obviously, it really takes a strong, balanced mind.
Yeah. Well, I think what is fun about coaching now is I learned so much of that during my career, and I know what I would do differently. And that's what I really enjoy about now coaching, because I had some performances where I know why I failed, and they were huge learning moments where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to bring that to someone else. So the mental toughness and the ability to finish some of these races are parts of me that have made me who I am in my relationship with my husband, me as a coach, me in any job I've ever done. I thank swimming for it because it started there, but that goal driven to go to that peak and keep doing it, to see where triathlon has come now. Without that, it's just what being successful is all about.
And let's talk about your coaching. Where's the bridge at the end of the pro career into coaching? What was it? Was it someone that said something? Was it just that itch that you said, I need to still compete?
That's so funny. I love this. This is a great story. So the great thing about triathlon, you can actually compete for quite some time. So I was turning 40, and I had been racing for over 15 to 18 years. I had 2 children along in my career. And what ended up happening was Stanford Triathlon team was looking for a coach. And I think because I had turned 40, they came to me and they're like, hey, you going to retire anytime soon? And I was like, I don't understand. What is this for? But with that said, I was performing very well. I was still competing at the highest level, but I was definitely, having 2 kids was tough, but it was more my mental state to kick my own butt was starting to go away. And I knew that that was something that was going to keep me from not reaching the goals that I was looking for. So it was at that time that I decided, I knew it was time for me to retire. They were looking for a coach, and so I just said, okay, yeah, let me try it for a while. I really thought I would just do it for a little bit and then kind of go in some other path. But it's funny, I actually found that I think this is what I was meant to do. Not I think, I know it's what I was meant to do.
That's
for sure.
Remarkable to hear, and
Yeah.
it's really amazing that 18 to 20 years in a professional sport. It's really unique.
Yeah.
Let's transition to chat about coming up here to USF and coupled with the climate of collegiate triathlons.
Yeah.
And can you educate us a little bit about where that's going right now and the conferences and the schools and...
Absolutely. Well, what I can tell you is I started at Stanford, and it was a club program. And there's a very big club triathlon program throughout the entire country. And when I started there, the talk of NC2A was kind of out. And I'm not going to lie, as soon as I heard that, I said, oh my gosh, if this becomes an NC2A sport, I'm in it. Because I loved my NC2As so much. I mean, like I said, I have a big passion with my swimming, and the NC2A meet is something that's amazing. So if I can have someone have that experience, I wanted to be a part of that. So for the 5 years, or I was there for 10 years, but while the NC2, or I should say while USAT was developing the NC2A program, I was just trying to develop that club program the best that I can to show that school, like, hey, if you guys decide to do it, I want to be part of it. And then USAT started getting NC2A programs, and over the last 5 years, they've gotten 40 programs, or 30 programs, I'm sorry. And we have 5 more years to get 10 more schools. But when I found out that USF had decided to get a program, I basically fought as hard as I could to get this position. I was really sad to leave the club program at Stanford, but I knew that for me, my goals, who I am as a person, and what I want to give back was in the next step was going NC2A.
San Francisco, you have the hills, you've got Golden Gate Park, you've got Ocean Beach.
Yeah.
And here on campus, you have the Corrette Center with an Olympic pool.
Absolutely.
I mean, the facilities here are phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
what better training ground than the own backyard?
Absolutely. And what's fun is when I was club coaching, I used to bring my Stanford team up here. So we would go to the polo fields, and my coach took me there. And so, like I said, when I knew that they were getting a program, I met actually Joan McDermott, who at the time was SWA, and I said, this whole facility is made for it. We have everything here. We have aquatic park, which is open water swimming. Like I said, we have the polo fields, which has a bike track. We have the Corrette Center, which has almost a 50-meter pool indoor. I mean, lots of lanes. So it is designed for triathlon. Absolutely.
The day-to-day for how you train for a triathlon and how you coach for a triathlon.
Yeah.
Is it swim for 30 minutes, you get up, you run for 30 minutes, then you get on the bike, or is it how do you separate it each day?
So to give it in simple terms, you do all 3 disciplines about 4 times a week. I mean, yeah, so you're doing anywhere between 16 and 20 workouts a week. So you train like a swimmer, you train like a cyclist, you train like a runner, and you train like a triathlete. So it's a matter of the specificity for the day, what you're going to do for that workout, what's the priority workout, and then you have other workouts where you piece the race together. And especially with the style of racing we do here, there's a lot of skill involved, a lot of tactics. So you might have days where you're just working on transitions. You're out on the polo field. We're working on how to be a bike racer because there's a lot of mental component that comes with it, a lot of yelling, a lot of posturing, and you've got to teach these girls to be aggressive.
Back to climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
And in coaching.
Yeah.
And with this program, you know, I know you're extremely motivated. You know, what does it take to combine building a program and, you know, being super competitive and starting small, but then building big and building robustly and being a mainstay on the national stage?
Yeah, it's culture, and I think right now, as I'm building year to year, I'm looking for those girls who want to come in and be part of a growing culture and go after a championship title. I mean, we have a perfect opportunity to bring a women's team national championship title, and sooner than later. And so as I'm out, you know, talking to different people and out talking about USF, that's one of my big, I don't want to say pushes, but definitely passion. I mean, I like to climb ladders, as you know, and that is the natural path for me. And it's so apparent. We have everything here in order to do that. That building the right culture, bringing the right women together, all with that same passion and that drive, and not just become not become part of a team that already has everything set in place, but to come and be able to stand out. That's what this school is going to be about, and that's what USF is about. The wonderful thing that I have learned here is the coaching staff around all seem very open-minded. The amount of support that I've gotten, even, you know, not many people understand triathlon, but when they hear what we're doing, and then to even be able to hobnob with some of the other coaches and get ideas from other coaches from other sports, I find that to be empowering, because I think that coaches working together on all levels is how you can bring greatness, and I think that we have that here as opposed to other schools, for sure.